I'm
If I
so
hadn't picked up
excited
that
to
wolf pup that day,
introduce you
my
to
son
this
might not
little
have survived that
guy.
winter. And I
He's a
never would have
white
learned that
wolf
sometimes
cub,
the wildest
and
things
he's
remember the smallest
absolutely
mercies. My name is
adorable.
Claire Hayward,
I'm
and I live
so
at the edge of
excited to
nowhere, or at least that's
introduce
what
you to
people
this
around
little
Clearwater Hollow say
guy.
when they shake their heads
He's
at
a
me.
white
They think I'm a
wolf
little
cub,
strange, not
and
quite
he's
right in the head. The
absolutely
mushroom woman who talks to
adorable.
trees and
I'm
doesn't own a
so
television.
excited to
But I wasn't
introduce you
always
to
like
this
this.
little
Once, I
guy.
was someone's wife.
He's a
Once,
white
I had a
wolf
decent job,
cub,
a small
and
apartment,
he's
planned. And
absolutely
then came Liam.
adorable.
And then came the
I'm so
silence. And
excited to
after the silence
introduce
came the
you to
forest.
this little
My husband left
guy.
when Liam was 2.
He's a
He said the
white
crying
wolf
kept him up.
cub,
Said he couldn't
and he's
live with the constant fear of
absolutely
hospital visits,
adorable.
the inhalers,
I'm
the
so
pills. Said
excited
I'd
to
become more
introduce
nurse
you
than
to
wife.
this little
So he left.
guy.
Left behind
He's
an
a
unpaid
white
mortgage,
wolf
a
cub,
half-full bottle of
and
whiskey,
he's
and a boy whose
absolutely
lungs rattled like
adorable.
wind chimes in a
I'm
storm.
so
I packed up
excited
what
to
little we had and
introduce
drove
you
as
to
far as
this
my
little
gas tank, and
guy.
Hart would take me
He's
to
a
my
white
grandmother's
wolf
abandoned cabin
cub,
deep in the
and he's
Appalachian foothills. That
absolutely
wasn't much.
adorable.
Just a tilted
I'm
porch,
so
a wood stove
excited
that
to
coughed more than it
introduce you
burned,
to
and
this little
windows thin enough to
guy.
hear the trees
He's
whisper.
a
But it
white
was
wolf
ours. The
cub,
people in
and
Clearwater
he's
Hollow kept their
absolutely
distance. They'd nod at
adorable.
me in the market,
I'm
offer
so
polite
excited
smiles,
to
but no one came
introduce you to
knocking.
this
It
little
didn't take long
guy.
for the rumors to
He's
start.
a
She
white
talks to
wolf
herself in the
cub,
woods.
and
She
he's
makes teas from moss.
absolutely
She's raising
adorable.
that sick kid
I'm
all
so
alone in a shack
excited to
full of ghosts.
introduce you
I
to
didn't
this
mind.
little
They weren't
guy.
wrong. That
He's a
fall,
white
mushrooms
wolf
were abundant.
cub,
The forest
and
floor
he's
pulsed with color
absolutely
oyster caps,
adorable.
chanterelles, lion's
I'm
mane, if
so
you knew where to
excited
look.
to
I sold them
introduce
at a
you to
roadside
this little
stand,
guy.
$5 a bag,
He's a
enough for
white
rice, maybe
wolf
chicken on
cub,
good days.
and
I
he's
brought Liam with me at
absolutely
first, but the
adorable.
cold air triggered his
I'm so
asthma. So I
excited to
started going
introduce
alone,
you to
early
this little
mornings before the
guy.
fog lifted.
He's
I
a
knew those
white
woods like
wolf
the lines in
cub,
my palm,
and
where
he's
the deer bedded,
absolutely
where the wild ginger
adorable.
grew, where
I'm
cell
so
service
excited
disappeared
to
and no one would
introduce
hear
you to
you
this
scream.
little
The day I
guy.
found the pup, I
He's a
wasn't looking for
white
anything
wolf
special.
cub,
The air was
and
damp.
he's
My boots sank into
absolutely
the moss.
adorable.
I remember thinking
I'm
it smelled
so
like copper and
excited to
pine, like
introduce
blood
you
and
to
sap.
this little
Then came
guy.
the whimper,
He's a
soft,
white
not
wolf
human,
cub,
but desperate.
and
I
he's
pushed through a thicket and
absolutely
saw it, a
adorable.
tiny gray wolf
I'm
pup,
so
no bigger
excited to
than a rabbit
introduce
curled
you
under
to
a
this
fallen
little
branch. Its
guy.
leg was twisted,
He's a
bone peeking
white
through fur.
wolf
Its
cub,
ribs showed.
and
It
he's
didn't bare its teeth.
absolutely
It didn't cry.
adorable.
It just watched me,
I'm
like
so
it had given up.
excited to
And I was the
introduce
last
you
thing it
to
would ever
this
see.
little
Something
guy.
in me cracked
He's a
open.
white
Not out of
wolf
courage,
cub,
not out of
and
sense,
he's
but out of something
absolutely
deeper. A place
adorable.
all mothers
I'm
carry,
so
whether for their own
excited to
child or another's.
introduce you
I
to
took off
this
my
little
scarf. I
guy.
wrapped the pup. I
He's a
whispered,
white
"It's okay,"
wolf
even though
cub,
it wasn't.
and
I
he's
didn't think about rabies
absolutely
or predators
adorable.
or what the
I'm
townsfolk would
so
say. I
excited
just
to
thought, if
introduce
this
you
were
to
Liam,
this
lying
little
in the
guy.
cold,
He's
wouldn't
a
I want
white
someone to stop?
wolf
I
cub,
brought it home,
and
hidden
he's
beneath mushrooms.
absolutely
Liam's eyes lit up
adorable.
the moment he saw
I'm
it.
so
"Is it a
excited
fox?"
to
he whispered.
introduce you
I
to
shook
this
my
little
head. "It's a
guy.
secret," I
He's
said,
a
and he
white
nodded,
wolf
because
cub,
children know how to
and
keep the
he's
kind of secrets the world
absolutely
doesn't understand.
adorable.
For weeks,
I'm
the
so
pup healed. I
excited to
crushed herbs
introduce
into
you to
paste.
this
I fed
little
it warm broth.
guy.
I slept
He's a
beside its
white
blanket by the
wolf
fire.
cub,
I whispered
and he's
lullabies not even my son
absolutely
remembered. It
adorable.
never barked,
I'm
never
so
growled,
excited
just
to
watched me with
introduce you
eyes
to
like
this
melted
little
amber,
guy.
full of old
He's
knowledge.
a
It
white
became
wolf
Liam's
cub,
shadow. He
and
named
he's
it Ash. I
absolutely
didn't correct him.
adorable.
At night, Ash
I'm
curled
so
at his feet like
excited
a
to
guardian.
introduce
When
you
Liam
to
coughed,
this
the
little
wolf whimpered.
guy.
When Liam
He's a
laughed,
white
the wolf
wolf
wagged its stubby
cub,
tail.
and
I
he's
forgot it was Wild Dot
absolutely
until it left. No
adorable.
warning, no
I'm so
sound, just
excited
empty
to
blankets and
introduce
muddy
you to
prints
this
leading to the
little
trees.
guy.
Liam cried. I
He's a
told him
white
it went
wolf
home, but
cub,
truthfully, I
and
wasn't
he's
sure Ash had one.
absolutely
Then winter
adorable.
came, the kind
I'm
that bites
so
through coats
excited
and
to
creeps into your
introduce you
bones.
to
And
this
with it
little
came sickness.
guy.
Liam's asthma
He's a
flared.
white
He
wolf
wheezed,
cub,
choked, vomited,
and he's
cried in his sleep.
absolutely
I rocked him until
adorable.
dawn, We ran
I'm
out of
so
medicine.
excited
The
to
clinics wanted
introduce
cash.
you to this
I had
little
potatoes and a
guy.
promise of spring
He's a
mushrooms.
white
I
wolf
begged.
cub,
No one answered.
and he's
That night, the
absolutely
storm howled like a
adorable.
creature mourning the
I'm
world.
so
I
excited
pressed my
to
son's fevered
introduce
body
you
to
to
mine,
this little
feeling his breath
guy.
come in shallow
He's
bursts.
a
I
white
prayed to
wolf
God,
cub,
to the forest,
and
to
he's
no one, and then I
absolutely
slept. The
adorable.
thump woke me.
I'm
Not
so
thunder, not
excited to
wind, not something
introduce you
heavier.
to
I
this
opened
little
the door,
guy.
half blind in the
He's a
snow, and
white
saw a
wolf
full-grown
cub,
buck, freshly
and he's
killed, lying across our
absolutely
porch, still
adorable.
steaming,
I'm
still
so
untouched.
excited to
Its throat bore
introduce
no
you to
wounds,
this little
no bullet
guy.
holes, just
He's a
stillness.
white
I
wolf
backed away.
cub,
Then I saw
and
them,
he's
paw prints,
absolutely
5 sets,
adorable.
large, precise,
I'm so
circling the deer
excited
like
to
a gift.
introduce
And
you
there,
to
by the
this
tree
little
line,
guy.
stood Ash, bigger
He's a
now,
white
leaner,
wolf
eyes
cub,
glowing like
and
firelight.
he's
He looked at me,
absolutely
then vanished into the
adorable.
white that
I'm
Bach fed
so
us for
excited
months.
to
I've traded
introduce
meat
you
for
to
medicine.
this little
Bone
guy.
broth soothed Liam's
He's a
lungs.
white
We
wolf
survived. I
cub,
never told
and
anyone
he's
where it came from.
absolutely
They would have called me
adorable.
crazy, but
I'm
I knew
so
the truth.
excited
The
to
forest had
introduce
remembered,
you
and
to
the
this
wild had
little
returned the
guy.
favor. Spring
He's a
brought life,
white wolf
buds, bees,
cub,
a boy
and
with color
he's
in his cheeks. I
absolutely
started planting
adorable.
tomatoes, mint,
I'm so
zucchini.
excited to
Liam ran barefoot,
introduce you to
chasing
this little
dragonflies.
guy.
Sometimes I found
He's a
fresh
white
kills at the
wolf
edge of the
cub,
trees.
and
Rabbits,
he's
squirrels,
absolutely
always clean,
adorable.
always placed
I'm
like
so
offerings.
excited to
Sometimes I caught
introduce
glimpses
you
of
to
fur
this
between the
little
pines.
guy.
Sometimes I heard
He's a
howls on
white
windless nights
wolf
that sounded
cub,
less like
and
warnings
he's
and more like
absolutely
lullabies. One
adorable.
evening, Liam looked
I'm
up from his
so
drawing and
excited
said,
to
"Mom,
introduce
Ash
you
has a
to
family
this
now."
little
I paused.
guy.
"What do you mean?"
He's a
He
white
shrugged.
wolf
I saw them,
cub,
a big one
and
with gray
he's
fur and 2
absolutely
littler ones.
adorable.
They watched me,
I'm
but they
so
weren't scared.
excited to
I didn't know
introduce
whether
you
to
to
believe
this
him,
little
but deep down,
guy.
I did.
He's a
Because
white
kindness
wolf
doesn't disappear.
cub,
It echoes
and
through
he's
the trees, through
absolutely
bloodlines, through
adorable.
generations.
I'm so
Years passed.
excited to
Liam grew
introduce you
taller,
to this
healthier.
little
We never
guy.
moved. We
He's
never
a
left the
white
woods.
wolf
He learned
cub,
to track,
and
to
he's
forage, to speak
absolutely
gently to animals.
adorable.
Sometimes
I'm
I'd
so
catch him at
excited
the
to
edge of the
introduce
trees,
you to
humming a
this
song I
little
used to sing when I
guy.
rocked a dying
He's a
pup to sleep.
white
He
wolf
never forgot
cub,
Ash.
and
Neither
he's
did I. If I hadn't
absolutely
picked up that wolf
adorable.
pup that day, I
I'm
would have
so
missed the moment
excited
my
to
son laughed again
introduce you
after
to
months
this
of
little
coughing. I
guy.
would have never known
He's
that the
a
wild can be
white
grateful.
wolf
I wouldn't
cub,
have understood
and
that
he's
sometimes what we
absolutely
save comes back to
adorable.
save us.
I'm
Maybe
so
folks still think
excited to
I'm strange,
introduce you
but when
to
they
this
see
little
Liam strong,
guy.
kind,
He's
full
a
of life,
white
they
wolf
nod differently
cub,
now. And
and
every
he's
winter, when the snow
absolutely
falls heavy and a
adorable.
deer is found at
I'm
someone's
so
doorstep,
excited to
untouched and clean,
introduce
they
you
don't
to
laugh
this
as hard
little
anymore.
guy.
Some even
He's
whisper,
a
"Maybe
white
the forest
wolf
remembers."
cub,
Let this
and
story
he's
remind you, never
absolutely
underestimate the
adorable.
power of a small
I'm
act of
so
compassion.
excited to
You might not
introduce
see
you
it
to
returned
this
right
little
away,
guy.
but somewhere in the
He's a
silence,
white
between
wolf
trees,
cub,
something
and
remembers.
he's
If this story
absolutely
stirred something in
adorable.
you, if you
I'm
believe in the
so
unseen bonds
excited to
between humans and the
introduce you
wild,
to this little
subscribe to Whispers
guy.
from the Woods for more
He's a
stories
white
of
wolf
mystery,
cub,
mercy, and the
and
magic
he's
hidden in ordinary
absolutely
hearts.
adorable.